Okay, all praise, glory, and honor most certainly due to the Most High, God of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to you in the name of His Son. I come to you blessing each and every time that I can come before you to preach the word of God. Never done that's a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to deal with you with this lesson briefly, and it's dealing with false prophets. The world is full of them, and they are something that the Bible warns us of. Okay, so now let's pick it up. We want to pick it up in the Matthew, the 24th chapter, because it's not like, matter of fact, let's pick it up in 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. Okay, 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter first. And we'll pick it up in verse 1, because here we're going to see Paul make this warning, and we can also see, peace to you. We're also going to see, just who they're working for. So 2 Corinthians 11 verse 1, it says, "Would to God ye could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me. For I'm jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ." Okay, so what he's saying is look, he's worried or concerned about this congregation. Again, peace to everybody that's listening. He's concerned because he wants to present them as like a chaste virgin to Christ, but he's concerned that they could be led astray. So he says, "But I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ." So the question is, who would come corrupting your mind? Who would come leading you astray? He said, "For if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus whom we have not preached, or if you receive another spirit which you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, you might well bear with him." How you gonna have another Jesus or another gospel or another spirit? Okay, Jesus was born on December 25th, died Good Friday, rose Easter Sunday, that has absolutely no standard, that's coming to take you off to heaven. That is another Jesus. That's not the Jesus of this book. He's going to establish his kingdom right here on the earth. He told you not to sin. He was without sin. He died on the Passover, not on Good Friday. Okay, so that's just an example. That's another Jesus. Another gospel is the gospel of prosperity. That's not the gospel. Or another spirit. The spirit has you running around church, running into the wall. That's another spirit. That's why the Bible says, try the spirits. And he tells you what kind would come in this manner. He says in verse 13, "For such are false apostles, deceitful messengers, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ." So now they look the part. They look righteous. Okay, they look righteous. He says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their work." So they look like ministers of righteousness, but they are ministers of Satan, brothers and sisters. And they're not coming out to you directly and say, let's go worship Satan. They're not telling you that. They're not telling you, all right, let's go worship Lucifer. But they got the same MO. They are deceiving you. They got the same MO. They misapplying and misinterpreting the word, okay, to lead you astray. Same thing. It's the same thing. All right. So now let's go to Matthew, the 7th chapter, because how do you identify these false teachers? One thing I said yesterday, I talked about the Bereans and how it's your duty, how they did. They searched the scriptures diligently to determine whether or not what Paul was saying was accurate. That's your job. Okay. This is Matthew, the 7th chapter, because you got some that's going to come to you. And how do you know if they're telling the truth or not? This is Matthew, the 7th chapter, and verse 15. It says, "Beware of false prophets." Matthew 7:15. "Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." So again, they look the part, but they are coming to destroy you, to devour you. It says, "Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them." Okay, so you're going to know them by the things that they say. Let's go to, that's how you know them. See, when you look, because I mentioned Satan. Even when you look at what Satan did, they ate of that fruit. They ate. Let's find out what fruit they ate of. Let's go to Hosea, because it wasn't an apple, right? It wasn't an apple. Let's go to Hosea. Let's see what it was. This is 1 second. Get there. The page sticking together. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Hosea, the 10th chapter. And here in the 13th verse, it says, he's talking to Israel, but listen to the way he puts it. He says, ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity, ye have eaten the fruit of lies. Right? So that's the same thing that Adam and Eve ate. And they were deceived. Right? How were they deceived? Let me show you an example. Just go to Genesis real quick. How were they deceived? Genesis, and we want to pick it up at Genesis, the 3rd chapter, because Paul talked about in his epistle to the Corinthians about the subtlety of Satan. He said, now the serpent, in verse 1, Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So you can eat of the physical trees, but of this one, don't eat of. In other words, don't commune with Satan. Don't deal with him. Okay? So he says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Okay, so now what he did was he mixed the truth with a lie, which makes it a lie. And that's what these ministers will do today. They will have on one hand, it'll be true, but then they go, I've seen them time and time again. They only you looking at them, okay. Then it's like this, they're going, right? Or sometimes they just straight up out of pocket. It's the fruit of lies. That's what they ate. Okay, it wasn't a literal apple, and that's what these ministers are giving. He said they are ministers of Satan. So they doing the same thing Satan did. They his ministers. They leading you astray. So he said, ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity, ye have eaten the fruit of lies. That's what they have eaten, brothers and sisters. And that's what they come to give you. Now let's go to let's pick it up in Isaiah, the 56th chapter, because why in the world would somebody come and do that? Why in the world would you lie to people about what thus saith the Lord? Well, let's find out. Isaiah, the 56th chapter, in verse 10. Because here he describes the watchman, the one that is supposed to watch. He likens the one that's supposed to bring the word like a watchman. He's supposed to warn the people, as he told Ezekiel, warn the people of me. I set thee as a watchman. Warn the people of me. So you're supposed to be telling people about how to escape the danger and the punishment for being disobedient. Okay, you telling people what they need to do. So it says in verse 10, it says his watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant, they are all dumb dogs, they cannot bark, lying down, loving to slumber. So if you got a watchman in a high tower, he can't see what's his purpose. So it is with these ministers today. He said, or they dumb dogs. So if you got a dog, you got a watchdog or a guard dog, but he can't bark to alert you of a prowler, that dog is no use. He said they sleeping lying down, loving to slumber. Then he says, yea, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. So what does it mean they can never have enough? They want your money. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. And the Bible tells you that over and over and over again. That's why they act in the way in which they do. That's why they will sit there and lie to you. See, what I'm preaching to you right now, brothers and sisters, about having a standard. It's not a smooth message at all, but it's the message of the book. And this is not a message you're going to get paid off of. Okay? This is not a message you're going to get paid off of. Let's go to Micah, the 3rd chapter. That's what people are doing now. That's what they're trying to get money. Okay? Let's go to Micah, the 3rd chapter. And he says something here about people, these ministers trying to make money. This is Micah, the 3rd chapter, and verse 9. He says, hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. He said, listen to, so he's talking to leadership. He said, listen, those that hate justice and pervert equity. He said, they build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity. He said, the heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divide for money. See, it's about getting paid. He said, yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. And because you're not correcting the people are going to suffer. See, that judgment is coming. So he said, therefore shall Zion for your sakes be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of the forest. See, when you look at us as a people in particular, brothers and sisters, there is a failure in spiritual leadership. You know that by the actions of the people. Totally gone astray. How is it that you have all these churches and so much sin? What is going on in these churches? It's a joke. That's what, it's a joke. And these men, and even in a lot of cases, women, they are doing this to get your money. Let's pick it up at 2 Peter the 1st chapter, 2 Peter 1. Because, see, and if they had stood in his counsel, or they had got it from him, or deal with the word, they would be telling you what thus saith the Lord. They just want your money. See, I don't care about your money. I'm not, like, granted, if you want to leave a donation, you can to the church, but it ain't going to me. It ain't going to me. Because it's not even about the money for me. It's about what thus saith the Lord. So it says, and that's not to say that a minister can't get paid. I want to make that clear. But you got people fleecing the flock. Okay? So we in 2 Peter. And we're going to go to verse 1. He says, 2 Peter 2:1. He says, but there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you. He says, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. So you got some that's going to even bring all kinds of false doctrine. Okay? Then it says, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. So what are they doing? They are making merchandise of you. They're trying to get in your pocketbook. They're trying to get in your wallet. They're trying to get in your purse. That's what they're trying to do. And so now what's the smoother message? What's a smoother message for people? To say that, hey, if you don't get yourself together, if you don't get your act together in your house in order, you're going to lift your eyes up in hell. You have to be obedient. You have to bring your body into subjection. And no, you might not be rich doing it. No, the world's going to reject you while you're doing it. It's going to be a hard road, and then you're going to die. Or what's a smoother message? You don't have to do anything except say you believe. And you're supposed to be rich. And you're going to heaven so you really don't die. And you really can do whatever you want. We got Jesus now. Which one of those is a smoother message? Is more palatable? That one. That one. So he said they're gonna make merchandise of you, and that's what's going on. That's what's going on wholesale. They making merchandise of the people, and the people. Let me just read this here because the people want to hear a lot. This is Isaiah. They want to hear a lie. This is Isaiah, the 30th chapter. See, the people, they get led astray a lot of times because they don't want to hear the truth. He said, now this is the same thing for Israel. He says in verse 8, Isaiah 30:8, now go write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. They don't want to hear the law. The law means you can't do what you want to do. The law means you have to bring your body into subjection. People don't want to do that. They much rather hear, I could just do whatever I want to do. So he says, we say to the seers, see not. And to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. So a lot of you, how is it that you got all these ministers out here? See, you at this other end, you are responsible. You want to hear a lie. You want to hear a man telling you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just believe. And you saved. That's the devils believe and tremble when they go to hell. The lake of fire was prepared for them. So now let's go to Matthew the 24th chapter, because he gave a warning in these last days about being deceived. And this is something we should all take heed to. This is Matthew the 24th chapter. I'm going to pick it up at verse 3. Matthew 24 verse 3. He says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Okay? Because they took him, Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And he told them, listen, there's going to come a time where there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So they wanted to know when these things were going to happen. When is that going to happen? And they tied it into the second coming. And one thing he said in verse 4 that we need to take heed to, it says, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. He starts off by warning you against deception. He said, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So he said, many going to come and tell you that he the Christ, and they are going to deceive many. So that's what you need to be aware of. Verse 11. He talked about the kingdom against kingdom and nation against nation, pestilence, earthquake, and disease. He talked about persecution. Then he said in verse 11, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. You need to be aware. Beware of deception, brothers and sisters. You have to be beware of deception. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we at the House of Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. If you'd like to leave a donation, you can do so. Yeah, you can do that on our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry, not in our pockets. We also have a Bible study every Friday night on Zoom at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. If that's something that interests you, that you like to be a part of, then you can look in the description of this video and you'll see the personal meeting ID. And that's all you have to type in, okay? And I just want to read this here. I'm finished, but I had to go back to this. I was finished. I had to go back to this. Is Ezekiel the 34th chapter, because here in Ezekiel the 34th chapter, Ezekiel is telling us what was going on then in the state of these false prophets and what they were doing in the state of the people. And it's the same thing today. We destroy as a people. You come out these hellholes called churches and look at our neighborhoods. Look at our condition as a people. Look at our out of wedlock birth rates. Look at our abortion rates. Look at our murder rates. We are lacking in morality. I'm talking about specifically what we're doing right now. I understand people have done things to us. I'm not letting anybody slide, but at the same time, we have to look within ourselves, because the solution is going to be between us and our God. That is it. It's not gonna come from no government program. You can vote for Bloomberg, Trump, Warren, Sanders, whoever you want to vote for. That's not gonna solve our situation. Okay, we need to get back with our God, and part of that is turning back to what He said we need to do, and that's found written in Torah. But here we see the condition of a people, and you have to lay it at the feet of the leadership, just like in the days of Moses and Aaron. Moses goes up to commune with the Most High in the mountain, and then who's left? Aaron, and they come to him and say, "Up, make us some gods." When you got people like Al Sharpton who was promoting when it was going on same-sex marriage and trying to get other black leaders and black people in general to go with that program, we are defunct of leadership. It's a joke. But it's Ezekiel, the 34th chapter, verse 1. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel, prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? You're supposed to be a servant of the people. These ministers acting like you they serving. You they serving. That's not what's supposed to be going down. He said, let the greatest of you be a servant. Even him, he washed the disciples' feet, and he was God in the beginning. He said, ye eat the fat, and ye clothe with the wool, ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. You not worried as a shepherd. You supposed to be worried about the sheep. Spiritually speaking, this might sound bad, but that's how people are. People are spiritually like sheep. Bad. They will go wherever way you lead them. So if you don't care about the sheep, you can lead them right off a cliff. If you don't care about the sheep, you can lead them right into a pit. You don't care about blind leaders of the blind. If you don't care about the sheep, you can lead them to hell or lake of fire. All for what? To get their money. I've seen them in action growing up, running guilt trips on people. I've seen family members. I'm like, who gonna step out on faith and give $2,000? Who gonna? Nobody got faith. I remember my mother stood up. I said, I know we ain't got no money. Or you see, I've been in churches where they line you up. I want hundreds and fifties here, 20s here, 10s and 5s here, singles here, and don't bring me no change. You walk around with fur coat, fur mink coat. It ain't no right. If that's what you want to look like that. Okay, you want to look like, off the set on some 70s movie, but why it's one thing if you working to get that, but you straight up, you just fleecing the people. And that's what he's talking about right here. Because the people are suffering. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to live, and you not helping them. He said, the disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken. Neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have ye ruled them. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains upon every high hill. Yea, my sheep were scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. And that's the situation that the shepherds have put the people in, and the people you gotta want to hear. So with that, brothers and sisters, again, I want to remind you that we're at the House of Faith, meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. If you've been edified through this message, you can leave a donation on our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry. We have Bible study every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. The personal meeting ID number is in the description of this video. Also, in addition, we have books that are available on Amazon.com. Into Egypt Again with Ships, a message to the forgotten Israelites, African Americans, pagan origins of Christian holidays, killing Black innocents, the program to control African American reproduction from slavery's end to the present day self-inflicted genocide, hair like wool, feet like burned brass, the color of Jesus, and burning truths concerning the Messiah. But then shall be great tribulation and in defense of biblical polygyny. And with that, brothers and sisters, it's always my prayer that you will edify.